Welcome back, guys. Will Robinson here from Robinson's Auto, toolsandtime.com. Today in the shop we have another victim, another patient. It's a 2008 Kia Rio with the complaint of a flashing check engine light, loss of power, a bucking, a surging, a misfire. So we're going to get in there, we're going to try to recreate this problem, see what's going on, and see where it leads us. So without further ado, guys, let's do it to it. Well, some of the things I can tell you while I was pulling it into the shop, it definitely has a severe misfire, at least one cylinder. This is a manual transmission. I'm not sure if it's picking it up on the camera. I don't know if you can hear that fish pipe. Okay, we're going to do an auto scan. The vehicle has already been identified. Okay, so we are showing 3 faults in the engine and 1 fault in the TPMS. Okay. Read codes. P0301 and P0303. Cylinder 1 misfire detected, cylinder 3 misfire detected. Well, before popping a hood and doing visuals and moving things around, try not to disturb the problem, we will go and look at some live data. Trying to see what would be worthwhile looking at right now. I'm hoping to have misfire counters on here. Alright, me too. Let's take a peek. Alright. So right off the bat, we see cylinder 3 misfire. Not seeing anything off of cylinder 1. What was it, 1 and 3? I forget already. Definitely a dead misfire. Can we be having false counts on cylinder number 1 because of a dead misfire on cylinder number 3? I've seen it many times. I think at this point, if I had a gas analyzer, we could throw it in the tailpipe. But unfortunately, my sensor has died. Alrighty, tighty. Let's see what we have in store. Okay, so here we are, and what will we do next? There's a few different approaches that you could take. Why did I mention exhaust gas analyzer earlier? Because it's always worth a mention, because if you have one, it's a very great tool to see if your misfire is being caused by a lean condition or a rich condition, a misfire, or a fuel delivery problem. But you also got to take into consideration mechanical. Fuel versus spark. Could it be a bad injector not delivering fuel to that cylinder? Absolutely. Could it be a bad ignition coil or something in ignition that is not delivering spark to that cylinder? More common than a fuel injector. We could possibly find a main feed and do a current reading on the ignition and see what exactly is going on. Or do we just simply do it old school, pop this cover off and do a drop test? I know it's cylinder number 3, as long as our scan data is correct. Do we just do some swaptronics and see if the misfire travels to the next cylinder? It's all a matter of preference. In the end, as long as it gets you there. Okay, so now we just pulled up a wiring schematic and we did like a PDF print, save onto the desktop. That way we could refer back to this as needed. I'm sure you guys aren't going to be able to see that because it's hard for me to see right here, but this says ignition coil 15 amp IP, which is instrument panel junction box. As you can see, it supplies all 4 coils and a condenser. So we should be able to put a fuse buddy here, an amp clamp and monitor. We do have the oscilloscope. This would take very little effort to pop that fuse out, no real nuts and bolts required, even though by the time I pull this up, go over this schematic, yes, I agree, we could have had that cover off and swaptronics taking place. But what if we disturb our problem in the process and we fix it and we don't see it? So without removing that cover, maybe it's our best option in some cases. Pulling a tooth, well, we're going to need that. We are now going to take this 15 amp fuse and place it into our fuse buddy, like so, abracadabra, and place it where that fuse used to be, just like so. We'll now take our amp clamp and place it around our fuse buddy. Start it up. Alright, not really seeing much on the scope yet. Let's just see what happens if we hit auto. Okay, nice. Now we're looking at the primary current ramp of all 4 coils. I don't know. I'm not good at finding a secondary problem on a primary current ramp. But what this tells us right off the bat, anyhow, is we have a control on all 4 coils. It's not a shorted primary. We could have a problem on a secondary side of the coil or plug. If you guys could see something from this, please let me know. So I'm not sure if up to this point you found the current ramp helpful, but if I took and I unplugged one of the coils as well, you would see that current ramp be removed. So if we had an open in one of the coils, it would show up. You want to have a current ramp for that particular coil. And if it was shorted, you would see a big difference in that coil ramp as well. So without further ado, we're going to take and pop the cover off. So essentially, it's telling me that the primary side of the circuit is good. Our control side, powers and ground, should be okay. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, a simple test would be to switch coils. We know the misfire counter on cylinder number 3 was going up. We had no misfires on cylinder number 2, so if I just simply take and swap these 2 coils, we should see the misfire travel to number 2, if indeed it is a coil problem on the secondary side. Most importantly, when we pull the coil, we want to do a visual inspection. We want to make sure there's no arc trace and no oil down inside the spark plug well, or something obvious that can lead us in a better direction. Because I believe it's on the secondary side. A little plug on them. Plug it like so. First glance, I'm not seeing any oil, but ooh. Phew, it smells. Not sure if you can see this, but it is now quite obvious that we have some arc tracing. So the coil is finding an alternative way to ground. Instead of the spark plug, it's jumping, looks like from here to the spark plug well in the cylinder head. It smells hot. Some weird activity going on right there. But just to prove our theory, I think it's pretty obvious. However, we will swap coils. Always do a visual. I'm not seeing any oil or any arc tracing on that one. Okay. Would have been nice if it saved my list. All right. Not feeling any misfire at the moment. Give it a second. I felt a little miss, but it didn't capture it. There you go. Did you see that? Just put a little bit of load on it by power braking it. It's not the best thing to do with a manual transmission, but if you're careful and you just put a little bit of load like you're taking off with the emergency brake on, you can see the misfires have definitely went to cylinder number 2. So it traveled from 3 to 2, and that is our culprit on the secondary side of the ignition coil. Okay, so with that being said, what I'm gonna do is, I don't think the plugs have ever been changed in this. We could do a visual. 5/8. Anyway. Very large gap. Not sure if the camera's picking it up, but let's measure that real quick. All right, got a few different styles here. Can't fit the 80 in. I can fit the 50 in. I can fit the 60 in. So it's somewhere between 60 and 80. I'd say it's not much more than 60. So 65, 70 thousandths. So what I'm gonna recommend is for them to replace the plugs, because that's gonna, the larger that gap, the more it has to work in order to jump that gap, and the easier it will be to try to find another alternative route. So we're gonna recommend replacing the plugs. We'll get a coil for it. I'm not sure he's gonna go for all 4. They all had champions in them, except for cylinder number 2 had an NGK. Not sure. All right, I really don't care for how some of these coils look. This one has a wear spot right here. A little darkness there that looks like it may have been arcing. And this is cylinder number 1. So maybe under load we are seeing cylinder number 1. I have 1 new coil, but I believe I'm going to do all 4. Just want to give you a quick demonstration because I'm going to have to order the other coils. Come on, Autel, keep your selective custom data PIDs list. Alright, let's see what she does. Feels smooth. Definitely not feeling any more misfire. Feels steady. Before I'd get that little fish bite, even when it wasn't counting, I would snap the throttle and it would be there. Hopefully you can hear the difference. We can do a little power brake. As you can tell, no more misfires. Alright, well, we just got done with the tune-up. I already disconnected the Autel, so I'll be using a launch. This is going to be a little difficult because it is a manual transmission with manual steering. It doesn't have no power steering. It's the bare bones Kia Rio. Alright, just a TPMS, tire pressure monitor system. Has a fault because it has a regular valve stem in one of the tires, which he knows it's here for the misfires. And as you can see, we've been running her pretty good. Still 0. Feels great. No misfire, no hesitation, no bucking. Couldn't even get out of the parking lot before when I had fallen flat on his face. Sorry guys. Just give me 1 second here. Get up to speed. Give me one more shot once we get back to the shop. Got back to the shop, I turned the key off without even thinking. But as you can see, we have the TPMS. Everything else is showing good. Oh, look at that. Well, I gotta give it to the launch. At least it kept our custom data list. Vehicle's running great. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned.